Good morning, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Wednesday, November 5th, 2014, around 7:05 in the morning in Billerica, Massachusetts. Sun came up about 40 minutes ago. Going to be a sunny day, high 65. Could be the last 65-degree day this year in this area because Thursday we're going to get some heavy rain in the afternoon and at night. Some news to report. The Boston Bruins beat the Florida Panthers by the score of 2-1 in overtime. Brad Marchand scored the overtime goal. 3 straight wins for the Bruins, and they're going to go on a major winning streak. And also, the election night coverage last night was superb through the networks and the radio and stuff like that. In Massachusetts, Charlie Baker is the new governor-elect. He beat Martha Coakley by a slim margin. And so Charlie Baker's going to be the next governor. He takes office in January. Also, Billerica's state representative, Mark Lombardo, got reelected. Mark faced off against absolutely no one, so that was an easy win for him. And also, the GOP takes control of the United States Senate. And the questions on the Massachusetts state ballot were voted last night. Question 1 was to repeal the gas tax indexing that passed. So the gas tax index is no longer in effect in Massachusetts. Also, question number two, to expand the bottle bill to include water and sports drinks and any other drinks. That was defeated soundly because the Massachusetts residents thought that would be another tax. In fact, I think they should repeal the bottle bill for soda and beer because it's an outdated system. Everybody's recycling. Question number three on the Massachusetts state ballot was to repeal the gambling casino laws. It was voted down, so casinos are go in Massachusetts. That's a good thing because we do not want to give the state, the other states like Connecticut and Rhode Island, our money for gambling. Casinos are going to be built within the next few years, my friends, in Massachusetts. And question 4 was to see if sick time gets earned by all employees in Massachusetts, part or full-time workers. It was passed kind of easily, so this law takes effect July 1st, 2015, and that means that every employee in Massachusetts, every worker in Massachusetts gets earned sick time. So it's going to be 1 hour for every 30 hours you work, up to 40 hours per year, up to 40 hours. And that's about it on that. My next subject is my continuation series of the top 10 things of everything and anything. I have reached the top 10 greatest NBA play-by-play announcers of all time. Some of the most famous people have called NBA games over the years, and they are enthusiastic, great voices and stuff. And here's the top 10 of all time. Number 10 on the all-time list of greatest NBA play-by-play announcers of all time, Bob Costas. Bob Costas worked for CBS Sports during the NBA games in the 70s. He was a Chicago Bulls local announcer for a few years, and then he was the lead announcer for the NBA on NBC for 3 years from 1998 through 2000. He was a pretty good NBA announcer, underrated. He's more for hosting the Olympics and being a big baseball fan, but he was underrated as an NBA announcer. He called 3 NBA finals for NBC, including that 1998 NBA Finals Game 6 with the last shot by Jordan, which should have been his last shot of his NBA career. Bob comes in at number 10. Number 9 on the all-time list of greatest NBA play-by-play announcers of all time, Mike Breen. Mike Breen's currently the number 1 announcer for the NBA on ABC, ESPN, and he also is the New York Knicks announcer on MSG Network. Mike's been a great basketball announcer for years. He's called many NBA finals in a row, and he should be winning the Kirk Gowdy Media Award for the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame next year. He comes in at number 9. Number 8 on the all-time list of greatest NBA play-by-play announcers of all time, Brent Musburger. Brent Musburger was the #1 voice of the NBA on CBS for years. He was a great NBA announcer. He eventually did like games on ESPN Radio and ESPN and ABC for the NBA. Very good announcer, in my opinion. He called Game 5 of the 1976 NBA Finals, which was triple overtime. Phoenix Suns versus Boston Celtics at the Boston Garden. That's his most famous NBA game he called, in my opinion. He comes in at number 8. Number 7 on the all-time list of greatest NBA announcers of all time, Mike Gorman. Mike Gorman's been the longtime TV voice of the Boston Celtics for over 30 years. On Prism, Sports Channel, Fox Sports Net, and Comcast Sports New England. He's teamed with Tommy Heinsohn for many years as well. He also did some NBA games for the playoffs for TNT. Mike's an underrated announcer, in my opinion, and he's one of the best of all time. Number 6 on the all-time list of greatest NBA play-by-play announcers of all time, Bob Neal. Bob Neal was the lead play-by-play announcer for the NBA on Turner Sports for years, TBS and TNT. Very good announcer. He also did some local Atlanta Hawks games back in the 70s on the radio and television. So he's an underrated announcer. You don't hear him too much anymore. He basically retired after TNT signed Marv Albert back in the late 90s. Number 5 on the all-time list of the greatest NBA announcers of all time, Jim Durham. Jim Durham was a longtime Chicago Bulls announcer. Then he became the lead announcer on the NBA on ESPN Radio. He did some TV games for ESPN and ABC as well. He passed away in 2012 at the age of 65, but he had a great voice for the NBA. He sometimes says, "Bulls win, Bulls win, Bulls win." That's his most famous quote. He comes in at number 5. Number 4 on the all-time list of greatest NBA play-by-play announcers of all time, Dick Stockton. Dick Stockton was the lead play-by-play announcer for the NBA on CBS for 8 years. He also worked for TNT as well, doing NBA games. He did some local Celtics announcing for WBZ television in the 70s. He did some local announcing for the San Antonio Spurs in the early 2000s. A very good announcer. He's more famous for doing NBA Finals than anything else. He comes in at number 4. Number 3 on the all-time list of greatest NBA announcers of all time, Johnny Most. Johnny Most was the play-by-play voice of the Boston Celtics on the radio for 40 years. He had a great growl voice, very sometimes cranky and stuff, but he was a great announcer for the Celtics. He called 16 world championship titles for the Boston Celtics, and some of the most famous games he's called was the 1965 NBA Eastern Conference Finals between the 76ers and the Celtics. Well, Havlicek stole the ball, and he also called the one in 1987 Eastern Conference Finals between the Pistons and the Celtics when Bird stole the ball. He's been honored by the Celtics. There's a microphone standing in the press box at TD Garden with the one that he used for many years. Johnny Most comes in at number 3. Number 2 on the all-time list of greatest NBA play-by-play announcers of all time, Chick Hearn. Chick Hearn was the legendary voice of the Los Angeles Lakers for over 40 years. He worked both television and radio simulcasting. He was a great announcer, Chick Hearn was, and he's in the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame in the broadcasting ring and as a contributor. And the number 1 greatest NBA play-by-play announcer of all time, Marv Albert. Marv Albert's been calling NBA games for over 45 years, first as a Knicks local announcer, and then he did the NBA on NBC as the lead play-by-play announcer. He called many NBA Finals. Then he's currently the number 1 play-by-play announcer for the NBA on TNT. He's very good. His famous quote is, "Yes!" He also did some local broadcasting for the New Jersey Nets on the Yes Network. And Marv Albert's the best NBA play-by-play announcer of all time. Yes! And that's about it on that. I'll be back later, Facebook friends and YouTube followers, with 2 more video blogs. One's the Week 10 NFL predictions, and my third and final video blog of the night will be about legendary game show host Jim Perry, who had a very successful career in the United States and Canada. And don't forget, Facebook friends and YouTube followers, November's going to be a November to remember on these Facebook and YouTube videos. Lots of subjects going around. More and more. We could have some days I'll have 4 or even 5 video blogs. I'll tell you in advance. And don't forget, Facebook friends and YouTube followers, send me questions for a future video blog, okay? Have a good day, Facebook friends, and get out!